Seeberufsgenossenschaft information on fighting engine room fires. Fire on board, a nightmare for every seaman. Even the most modern safety devices cannot prevent fires breaking out sometimes. Fire down below. This film will show you how to prevent fires and, should they occur, how to fight them. Fire. How does it occur in the first place? Before a fire breaks out, 4 factors have to be operative. First factor, a combustible substance. This may be solid, liquid, or gaseous. Second factor, oxygen. The presence of enough oxygen. This is always the case with the normal air we breathe. Third factor, igniting temperature. The igniting temperature is the minimum temperature at which a combustible substance ignites spontaneously. Every substance has its own flash point. Fourth factor, ratio. There has to be a particular ratio of combustible substance to oxygen. If all these factors are operative, a fire will inevitably break out. It's burning. If one of the 4 factors is no longer operative, for example, the oxygen supply is reduced, the fire stops burning. It is extinguished. When oxygen is again supplied, the fire starts to burn again. But be careful. Even below the flash point of a combustible substance, there is still a fire hazard. If a source of ignition is brought into play, combustion can occur even below the critical temperature. It's burning. Fire, an elemental force of nature, source of light and warmth, but also the cause of much suffering and damage. The lighter or candle flame burns too weakly. It can be extinguished by a puff of air. A cozy living room fire. A draught of air fans the flames and makes them flare up dangerously. Fires that get out of control, and particularly fires due to technical defects, are always a source of danger, especially when burning in a ship's engine room. Fuel escaping from pipes and igniting is almost always a major hazard and cause of damage. That's why allowance is already made for fire prevention measures on the drawing board and in the shipyard. For example, built-in fire protection. Fireproof bulkheads and decks divide the ship into fire zones with a view to preventing the spread of a blaze on board. Exhaust pipes liable to heat up in operation are insulated with lagging material and steel casings. Pipes, filters and valves have to withstand considerable pressures. That's why special care is taken in the choice of materials and finishing of fuel tanks and leads. And in case of an accident, emergency escape shafts lead up to the safety of the decks. Familiarize yourself with the layout of all safety hatches and escape routes on board your ship. This knowledge may well be a lifesaver. The same applies to the firefighting equipment installed throughout the ship. At several stations on board, there are fire hydrants with hoses and nozzles in fire hose boxes. Before putting them into operation, the pumping system has to be activated. Fire drills help you to get used to handling the equipment. Installed in the engine room with its special fire hazards, there is a 50-kilogram portable fire extinguisher. It is built like a hand fire extinguisher, but has a throw of 6 to 8 meters, 18 to 25 feet, over an expulsion period of about 50 seconds. The point to remember when using this appliance is always to keep a retreat path to the emergency exits open. The operating instructions are printed on the case. And now to the hand fire extinguishers. They are conveniently placed at various vantage points on walkways and in crew quarters and workplaces. Depending on their design, they are filled with 6 or 12 kilograms of extinguishing powder, or CO2, for quick and effective smothering of incipient fires. This demonstration is carried out with a 6-kilogram dry powder hand extinguisher. Handling and mode of operation vary according to type, but the drill is always the same. Release the safety device, prime the extinguisher, and only then approach the source of the fire. A 6-kilogram extinguisher has a throw of 3 to 5 meters over an expulsion period of about 15 seconds. Familiarize yourself with the printed operating instructions for the fire extinguishers installed on your ship, but the rule of thumb is always the same. Safety device off. Prime the extinguisher. And only then approach the fire. After use, the spent extinguisher should be immediately refilled or replaced by a new one. By the way, make sure the extinguishers are regularly serviced and carry a valid inspection tag. So, every ship must have a full complement of proven firefighting equipment. A quick question. Are you sure you know where your nearest fire extinguisher is? Would you have known? Keep your eyes open, both on and off duty, and you'll always be prepared to take quick and effective action. Fire on board. Sometimes it happens quicker than you think, and there are many root causes. Hot exhaust pipes, where escaping fuel or lubricant can catch fire. Short-circuit current, releasing heat energy or even arcing. Sparks and glowing metal thrown off in welding or grinding operations. Or the infamous cigarette. The list of examples can be continued ad infinitum. Technical defects or human error. Fire hazards on board can never be eliminated altogether. But by making the right decisions and taking the right precautions learnt in fire drill, the devastating effects of fire on the ship and her crew can be decisively reduced. It has to be a new boiler suit that gets splashed with oil during a filter interchange. Although he'd bled off the air, there was still some oil left in the pipe. Better go up and change. Now it's a question of keeping your cool and doing the right thing. That's right. But be careful, the oil-soaked boiler suit. Keep a safe distance from the flames. Very observant. When it's a matter of seconds, a cool head and clear communication help you to master the situation. Only by using your head, taking thought for your own and your mate's safety, can you gain control of the situation. The machinist contacts the bridge. He gives his name and the location of the fire on board. He specifies the type and source of the fire and says what action has been taken to fight it. He informs the bridge that the fire has been extinguished.
Das Feuer scheint gelöscht. Tatsächlich, Hansen zeigt, Feuer ist aus. Okay, wir überprüfen das nochmal. Genau. Und ich sehe gerade, der Chief...
The chief engineer arrives on the scene and the machinist reports on the course of the action and says that the bridge has already been informed.
Ist das jetzt aus?
Ja, ist aus, alles im Griff.
Weiß die Brücke
The chief orders the cleaning materials bin to be brought up on deck, and the extinguisher must be refilled and replaced on the wall.
Ohne Feuerlöscher wieder auffüllen und an die Wand hängen.
Alles klar.
Alles klar?
Ja.
Okay.
The causes of the fire must be established. The chief goes up to the bridge, and the master is to be informed. Statistics collated by the Seeberufsgenossenschaft confirm that the major proportion of fires aboard ocean-going vessels are extinguished as they arise by the crew using suitable firefighting equipment. Here is proof that good training, using intact appliances, leads to successful firefighting. Every engine room is equipped with an automatic fire detection and alarm system. Fire detectors respond to heat, flames, or smoke, depending on their specification. They report the fire to the bridge. The fire alarm system installed there displays the endangered areas. For giving manual fire alarms, telephones or hand-operated fire alarms are installed at strategic points on board. For fighting large-scale fires in holds, pump rooms and engine rooms, batteries of CO2 cylinders are installed. The aim is to smother the fire by injecting carbon dioxide at high pressure into the hermetically sealed spaces. The experimental model demonstrates the effects. The colorless and odorless CO2 is heavier than air and displaces the oxygen needed for combustion. As it floods in, the flames are smothered through lack of oxygen. The fire is extinguished. The latent heat of evaporation causes a thick fog. It's important to maintain the atmospheric seal to prevent fresh oxygen causing a renewed ignition. But fire hazards must also be actively prevented by regular maintenance of fire dampers and flame arresters, by ensuring the self-closing bulkheads are in good working order. The doors must never be blocked. Flanges and glands on fuel pipes are a special hazard. Vibrations can cause metal fatigue or loosen screws, so it is advisable to inspect and service them regularly. Fires are all too often caused by fuel leaking onto hot pipes and igniting itself. Regular fire inspection rounds help to detect danger spots and eliminate them in advance. And the last round before going off duty deserves a particularly critical inspection for the sake of good seamanship. But even off duty, every member of the crew should keep an eye out for possible fire hazards. Remember, safety is everybody's job. Wind and weather, man and machine. The working environment on board ship is never free from risk, so be prepared. Fire drills are life-saving drills, survival practice. The alarm sounds and the duty engineer contacts the bridge. He's going below to recce the scene. Contact will be maintained by RT. The master is informed.
Hat sich gerade abgemeldet. Geht runter in die Maschine, guckt, was los ist. Danke. Hol den Chief auf die Bühne.
He calls for the chief engineer and orders general fire alarm. The chief is on his way. The duty engineer reports the fire to the bridge. The engine room is thick with smoke and there is a visible glare. Fire in the engine room. The master commands main and auxiliary diesel engine shutdown, quick close gear on, ventilators off, pumps off. The duty engineer confirms by word of mouth. Roll call at the muster station.
Schümann, hier. Huber.
Hier.
Danke. Ja. Schmidt. Jo. Lohmann. Hier.
Duty engineer reports to the bridge that all quick close valves are shut. He will proceed to the emergency generator and on to the emergency fire pump. The muster station reports that the crew are all present and correct. The master orders the engine room to be closed off.
Verschlusszustand Maschine herstellen.
The command is passed on to the crew, who are divided into fire damper groups 1 to 4, each receiving a check card.
Wandtampengruppe 3. Wandtampengruppe 4.
Tür und zweites Deck sind dicht.
Hier, zweites Deck ist dicht.
The groups report back when the dampers have been closed and hand back the check cards.
Gruppe 3 alles verschlossen.
Hauptdeck auch alles verschlossen.
The muster station reports to the bridge that the closed condition has now been established. The master gives the orders to flood the engine room with CO2. But take care here too. Before activating the CO2 flooding unit, make absolutely sure that no one has been left behind in the rooms to be flooded. Mortal hazard. It's a fact that a large number of engine room fires are caused by flammable liquids igniting on hot surfaces like exhaust manifolds or superheated steam pipes. Diesel or heavy oil are preheated and pumped at high pressure. Even the smallest leak in a pipe system allows the fuel to escape as a fine mist or jet. Fuel forming an aerosol of tiny droplets is highly inflammable. Oil fires cause a lot of smoke and a sharp rise in temperature inside the engine room. The heat energy is of course conducted to the walls of the engine room and the adjacent bulkheads. A large-scale experiment demonstrates once again the smothering effect of CO2 on a flammable liquid fire. The breathing apparatus now has to be got ready and fire hoses run out. The necessary equipment is kept in the safety store. Breathing apparatus, safety helmets, gloves, safety lines, heat-resistant suits and so on. Use of the equipment is practiced in fire drills. Such fire control drills are an indispensable means of assigning crew stations in case of emergency and therefore gaining valuable time for firefighting measures. A systematic search enables the crew to locate the source of the fire and heat generation. By carefully feeling the adjacent bulkheads, the heat propagation can be ascertained. But take care if the paintwork shows signs of discoloration or even blistering. Approach the site slowly using the palm or back of the hand and watch out for rising heat. After the site of the blaze has cooled off sufficiently, it is still necessary to check for any pockets of fire still remaining. Here, two men, equipped with breathing apparatus, safety lines and extinguishant are searching the site. Only when they are certain that infeed of atmospheric oxygen will not lead to renewed ignition may the closed condition be cancelled. Then the engine room can be re-ventilated. Damage survey and immediate repair follow as soon as possible to enable the main and auxiliary engines to be recommissioned without delay. Fire in the engine room, a nightmare for any seafarer? Not if every crew member knows what to do in case of emergency. Of course, fire drills can be a drag, but they are the only way to reinforce the basic knowledge and skills required for life-saving. And it could be your life or that of one of your crewmates. So remember, safety is everybody's job.
Heiße Himbeeren. Also ich möchte lieber kalt. Ihr nicht?